case you couldn't tell from that, hello and welcome. We are so excited that you are here. I am Whitney Harding from NBC4, and this is the Women in Business presented by Bread Financial. And this is just going to be the most exciting afternoon, getting to know everybody and learn about all these different interesting ways that you can work in the world of sports, because we have a wonderful variety here on our panel to share with you, because it's amazing all the different ways that you can work in sports. So before we jump into questions, let's first meet our panelists that people you know will be answering said questions. Let's start with Shannon Andrick. She is the Senior Vice President of Business Strategy at Bread Financial. Hi, Shannon.
Hi.
So her team plays a pivotal role in defining and implementing strategic initiatives that align with the company's overall objectives, and that drives long-term growth, profitability, things like that. And it connects the associates and culture to strategy. Shannon's been with Bread Financial for over 13 years. Wow, 13, lucky number 13.
Yeah, well, I just turned 14. Mine is 13.
We're getting close, though. Yeah, we're getting close. Okay. And she's had different roles across the company: client partnerships, marketing, communications, and business development. Now, next, we have Lisa Braun. And Lisa's in her 17th season with the Cincinnati Reds as the Senior Director of Social Media and Content Strategy. I know a lot of people in here will be very interested in that. I know I am as well. I live with a digital strategist, so I'm going to maybe pick your brain as well. Lisa joined the Reds in 2009 as the organization's marketing manager, and in 2011, she launched the Reds' social media presence and quickly established herself as a leader in the industry, effectively leveraging digital content to build consumer connection. I mean, she has an extensive background in entertainment and media, which clearly helps with the digital aspect of what she does. 7 years as MTV's Vice President of Promotion and Music Marketing. They play music on MTV?
I know, back in the day.
Some people in here get that. Some, it's okay if you don't. So very excited to hear what you have to say. All right, next, Dawn Stewart, the Director of Strategic Partnerships at the Greater Columbus Sports Commission. So always busy, because we've always got stuff going on here in Columbus, which is awesome. It's a great sports town here. And in her role, Dawn is responsible for overall strategy and successful revenue production by creating and implementing key community and business partnerships, which is huge in bringing big sporting events to our city. And she also leads fundraising efforts, also big in bringing big sporting events to our city, for major events. And she's reached a historical fundraising high for the organization in 2024. Prior to joining the Sports Commission, she spent 24 years in intercollegiate athletics as a sports administrator at various NCAA levels, which I can't believe you did that for 24 years. I mean, it looked like you would start when you were 10. And most recently, she was Otterbine's Vice President of Student Affairs and Director of Athletics. And also joining us today, Katie Foglia from the Columbus Crew, the Vice President, Marketing and Brand Strategy, and she has worked for or advised brands, charities, teams, and leagues around the world, virtually every level, so we're very happy that she is here in Columbus. And with the Crew, she leads the department responsible for the overarching brand strategy and identity development of the club, responsible for brand, fan growth, connecting those things together with key strategic marketing initiatives. And we might be asking about the Goosebumps jerseys, because that has been a super fun marketing initiative. And last but certainly not least, a face that we see around here a lot, Kathryn Dobbs, the Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer for the Columbus Blue Jackets. She leads the club's efforts to grow the Blue Jackets brand, broaden the fan base, and integrate the club's collective marketing initiatives, including branding, promotions, all those things where you see the Crew broadcasting, that kind of stuff. Events like this, trying to get other people aware of the things the Blue Jackets do and how they get out into the community, and really broaden, like we said, the viewership and people that work here. So very excited to have all of you here. And we're going to start with some initial questions and then open it up to all of you. So be thinking about good stuff that you would like to ask these amazing women as well. And I'm going to start with one, and we'll start with Shannon, go down the line if that's okay. Just what drew you to working in the sports industry, or alongside it, or connected, adjacent to the sports industry?
Yeah, great question. So at Bread Financial, we have a strategy around sponsorships that includes sports, but it also includes other things in entertainment. We're proud sponsors with the Columbus Blue Jackets, with the Columbus Crew. We have a partnership with the NFL. Very proud that we now sponsor the PWHL, the New York Sirens team. So very, very excited to do that as well. And what I love about it is there's many different synergies in what draws us together. So yes, there's a business element to that, and you're looking at how you're marketing your brand and how you're drawing people in and connecting them to who you are. But it also is very important who we would partner with. And we have to have shared values. They have to believe in the same sorts of things that we believe in. And we are headquartered here in Columbus. And when we think about community, and you look at sort of the divisive nature of the world today, sports is something that you can find unity in. Like, it doesn't matter some of those other things that are going on, but we can all rally around our hometown and our home teams and really find that united, excited sort of energy and passion. And that's what we love. We love to be able to be a part of that. So
It's nice when you have two teams in town here, specifically the Crew and the Blue Jackets, who are full of good people and good players, and that you can really rally around.
absolutely.
All right. Lisa.
All right. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Yes. There's two main reasons I think I ended up in the job that I'm in now. One, I really enjoy working with a product that people are passionate about. People can get crazy about their sports teams, so tapping into that excitement is always fun, and having a product that people love and will go to great lengths to be associated with is fun. The other is just that I love baseball, and so to work in a team or work in a sport where they have 162 games, and to be, I guess, for 6 years I was the only social media person. I was a department of one, so it's a lot of games to cover by yourself. So you really have to like the sport. But I really enjoy working in baseball, and it's a fun sport to work in. So that's the other reason I'm in sports.
That's wild. Don?
I think fundamentally for me, it started as a kid. I was an athlete growing up. I was a young girl in the 80s in small town Ohio, where there really probably weren't a ton of opportunities for me to play when I was growing up, but anything that came my way, I was hungry for. I just wanted to participate and be a part of, and I was very fortunate that I had an older brother and a dad that really fostered that a lot too. So I think there again, at my core, it was just this love of athletics and wanting to be a part of athletics. Fast forwarding, being a college athlete, also having a campus job on my small campus. I'm a Otterbein graduate, where I worked in athletics. And I would say it was really in that space where I saw coaches pour into kids and into a process every day of not just trying to shape an outcome of a game. Certainly, yes, that's what coaches do. But they poured into their student athletes, and they were really trying to help young people become the best versions of themselves. And I think as a young athlete, I didn't see that side of it until I had that kind of opportunity. And that's when I really fell in love with all of it. College athletics, the idea of working in athletics, really seeing it as a tool to shape and mold and, possibly be a resource for somebody in their life. And, so for me, it's always been a platform for service. And I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later. But whether it was through, a chance to be an administrator and there again, pour into coaches and kids and the campus around me. And now I work in sports on a community level and being able to pour into the community too. So that's really where it started for me, though.
Katie?
That's great. I think for me, y'all are already such a step ahead. I didn't even know working in sports was an option for many of maybe the students in the room or young professionals. And so, very similar stories as some of the other folks up here. But, for me, grew up playing sports, loved the power of storytelling, would read the newspaper, what the Pittsburgh Penguins and Steelers and Pirates were doing, being a Pennsylvania native. And so when I went to college, I really sought a journalism career because, again, for me, storytelling was the route that I felt would be a good path. And then I just kind of honestly fell into sports with different opportunities that kind of presented themselves, again, just by opening up doors. And then for the Columbus Crew specifically, I was working in Chicago as a consultant, working with teams and leagues around the world. I absolutely loved the job, but an opportunity to be remote opened up. And I love Columbus, having gone to school in Ohio. And so to set roots somewhere like Columbus was a tremendous opportunity. And I was here for a few months and got connected connected with the Columbus Crew. I thought that I was going to pitch them to work with the agency. They were pitching me to come work for them. And I feel very fortunate and lucky that an opportunity opened up. And so for me, working in sports, really brings all of my passions together in terms of, community, making a difference. We talk a lot about kind of win, fan, and community, and I'll talk more about that with the Crew. But again, also global travel, something I'm really passionate about. Soccer is a global game, and so just the opportunity that we had here in Columbus, it's been a ton of fun, and I'm excited to be here. So thanks to CBJ for having me.
And what's really cool is Katie and I have very similar backgrounds, hearing what she was talking about. I love storytelling, and look at how different our jobs are. That just shows you can have very similar passions and just go in so many different ways in the sports industry. Kathryn?
So working in sports wasn't on my radar at all either. Prior to coming to work for the Blue Jackets 10 years ago, I'd spent more than 10 years working for various YMCAs around the country. I was raising money, helping families, loved absolutely everything I was doing working for that organization. But as I was learning about the opportunities to work in the nonprofit world and following my very favorite hockey team, I am a day one Blue Jackets fan. In 2005, as I am becoming a better development officer, I learned that the Blue Jackets had this foundation. And it was then that I realized I could marry my very favorite things. Not only am I a hockey fan, but this was my favorite hockey team and the work that they were doing. And so for me, in 2005, I went on TeamWorks Online. If you don't know the link, you should. And I filled out that application in case a job with the Blue Jackets Foundation ever opened up. And for 12 years after that, I moved all around the U.S. working with Ys and had the opportunity to come back here in 2014 to work for the Columbus Y. I was my first day on the job, and I called up the Blue Jackets Foundation, who I had been enamored with forever, and called them, and my conversation was, you need to grow youth hockey here in Central Ohio, and I think I can help you do it. That very same day, I walked down to the arena and had what I thought was my 12-year pitch to the Blue Jackets on how we could work together. Left that day, and we started a partnership. Several months later, the foundation executive director actually left the position, and the board chair called me and asked if I'd be interested. So it was a 12-year admiration and opportunity, and really for me, the idea to take the unique resources of a professional sports team and turn that into so much good in the community. Yes, the day that I started with the Blue Jackets and started as the executive director of the foundation was the day that I landed my dream job.
And it really has, hockey has grown so much in our city. Now 2 Central Ohio teams have won state hockey titles, and that's only been in the last few years. So it has been a long process, but we're really starting to see the fruits of what the Blue Jackets do with Learn to Play and things like that. All right, I got a couple questions here, and I'm actually gonna start with Lisa. Digital strategy, branding through social media. I mean, I know 2011, it's not that long ago, but it's been skyrocketing since. Now you have influencers and all these things, but working in sports, how do you kind of marry that digital strategy with the initiatives and partnerships and things, the content for what you do?
I guess the main thing is with our social media, we really look at it as a way to throw gasoline on the fire. Anything that's happening with the organization that's going well, whether it's on the field, players in the community, awards the organization has won, we really look at ways to amplify what the organization is doing and get people more excited and create that connection. Because at the end of the day, the connection leads to commerce. So you get more people excited about the team, and they're going to come to your games, watch your games, buy your merchandise. So when it comes to the business side, then we try to fold that into what we're doing, because obviously there's sponsors that have their own ideas of what they want on our social media. And so we definitely try to focus them on realizing that they're aligning with our brand and the excitement that we create with our brand and the organization, and not buying just our followers. So we really try to incorporate them into the content that we're doing to help them then be more successful for their businesses, for the association. So it's definitely a balancing act, but we always try to think about the people that are following us and what they really want to see.
What is maybe a sneaky attribute that somebody would need to do what you do? I know, like, for what I do, television reporting, writing. It's all about writing, even though you don't see me write anything. So what is maybe like a sneaky attribute that would really have somebody be successful in what you're doing besides taking a lovely photograph?
Yeah, well, it's funny because the first thing I thought of was common sense. We have a lot of interns that I wouldn't put on the social media accounts because They don't have common
That's
sense.
a good attribute.
So just to know where kind of the line is of, this represents the organization. It's not your personal opinion. It's not, because again, they're fans too a lot of times. And so, they get so excited about the organization and they want, to put things that matter to them. And so you got to make sure that they understand the business side of it and what our account voice is and things like that. So as silly as that is, yeah, common sense.
I completely agree. We have that sometimes in our newsroom as well, or a lack of it. Dawn, your role is about building relationships and partnerships. So what do you look for in a great sports partnership? What makes a collaboration in your eyes successful? Because there's many ways it can be successful.
Many ways, yeah. I think ultimately, I think it starts with shared core values. I think as an organization, so we're a nonprofit organization, the Greater Columbus Sports Commission. We're a nonprofit organization here in Central Ohio. I'm giving you a quick Sports Commission 101 here, folks. So we exist to bring athletic events to the city, to drive economic impact, to help enhance the image of the city, engage and better the lives of all of us that live here in Central Ohio through those. And we are so fortunate. We have so many wonderful partners that we get to do that with that are sitting on this panel here today. So that's the short version. And so what makes a great partnership? There are many organizations that help to fund the work that we do. So that means help us or support us financially to go and grab these events and there again, drive revenue into our city, enhance the image of our city, highlight our city in many, many special ways. And so it starts with alignment and understanding that that's what we're in it for. We're in it to better Columbus. We're in it to do that together. And that's got to be a shared core value. We've both got to understand that. And from there, then it kind of takes off. There's lots of different ways in which organizations may and which want to connect with us or better understand how our organization, supporting the crew and bringing an MLS All-Star here last summer, how that can also maybe benefit them and their organization in addition to the city itself. And so vetting those conversations and having those types of conversations. I would say the other way too is, we as the Sports Commission have this really special opportunity to tell the story of Columbus through the event. So it's not just hosting the event, which is always awesome and typically a really wonderful experience. It's why we're known for it. But it's also a way for us to highlight local businesses and highlight the diversity of our city, highlight the arts that are here in our city, and just all of the ways and the ways in which we love our city. It's a great way to tell that story. And we personally work on a lot of those collaborations to incorporate them into the events. We hosted the U.S. Figure Skating Championships last year. We talk about this collaboration pretty frequently because we partnered with the arts in Columbus. CCAD, Columbus College for Art and Design, their students, one of their alumni designed a costume for one of the figure skaters that was here. She not only wore it here in Columbus, she wore it at the World Championships a few weeks later. And that put Columbus on an international stage. We had the Columbus Symphony play live while their skaters were skating, during their performances. Lots of cool and innovative ways in which, once again, we get to highlight the city. So starts with that core value.
I'm glad you brought up the figure skating because I was going to say I did that story about the outfit that Isabel Levito wore. It was so much fun. I am such a fashion nerd along with a sports person. That was one of my favorite things to do. I nerded out for an entire day. But Shannon, along those lines, from your perspective, you talked about aligning, values and things like that. So from what you do, corporate sponsorship, how does that work in finding a successful sponsorship alignment when you're going about your route and connecting with the sports industry?
No, it's a great question, and I get requests weekly from other organizations that say, hey, we see you sponsor so-and-so, would you be interested in it? And we really have very selective criteria on what we want to do. We're not trying to be everything to everybody all over the country. And we are very dedicated to, and you have to have like a strategy, like what are you trying to accomplish and why are you trying to accomplish it? And we look for partnerships where it really is that, because you could say it's a corporate sponsorship, and sponsorship means, we're paying money to be a part of a team. And so we're on the side of the helmet for the Blue Jackets, Bread Financial. But when you're looking at something like that, we're looking for ways to amplify our brand, but to do it in a way that meets our company sort of objectives, but aligns with our values. And we think about that from an employment branding perspective. So when people want to come work for our company, that's exciting to them to see the sort of things we're doing and the organizations that we're aligning ourselves with, because it says a little bit about who we are and that we care about the community. We also, in our partnership, focus a lot of time, when we actually had an event today, to sponsor nonprofit organizations where we have an aligned perspective. So ROCKS, Rolling Our Experiences, I don't know if you've heard of them. There was
a great organization.
Yeah. Today is Girls Hockey Day. So there were 65 young girls down on the ice today for a couple of hours. They're meeting with the ROCKS team right now. We fund a lot of the research for ROCKS, but that's something where we try our best to make that a very unique and special experience, because one, we want to do what's right. That's most important. We want to do what's right. And as a business, you should be investing back into the communities in which you live and work. And we take that very seriously. But then when we can amplify that, triad of partnership between us, the Blue Jackets, and ROCKS, and what we can do together, we also think that's really special and important in investing in that next generation. On the business side of it, there's obviously, you're doing sponsorships because you're trying to get your brand out there, and we've had a great partnership on how do you value that? What does that look like? Are you gaining traction in terms of expanding your brand? And the Blue Jackets has allowed our team to also be super creative in what we do. So if you walk the arena, you'll see an area called Bread Financial Boulevard. That didn't exist before. It wasn't part of our contract, but we're like, you know what? This would be really cool if we could establish sort of a section where, and there's this frictionless checkout where you don't need to take out your wallet and all these other things, right? But it's a way to infuse our brand in a way that reflects who we are and what we do. We look at that in giveaways. When we did our giveaway last year, we did a piggy bank for kids.
My daughter got one. She's obsessed.
Yes, right? And, piggy banks maybe are kind of a thing of the past, but then we brought one of our profit organizations with us. We gave them some money to start their own financial savings. And it's just looking for those really creative ways to amplify your brand, but also do what's right. And that's what we just love about all of our sponsorships with different organizations.
It's more than a sticker on the helmet. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yes.
Katie, you guys, the crew is not the only professional sports team in town. We're at the Blue Jackets right now. But I mean, there's, lots of other ways. And let's face it, Ohio State Athletics is basically a professional sports team at this point. So how do you differentiate yourself in this space as the CMO? I mean, you mentioned storytelling, and the storytelling behind the Goosebumps jersey was so creative. And I mean, it has to be a way that you separate yourself.
Yeah, I think the great thing about, again, being in the Midwest, Ohio, I think there's room for everyone. And so what we loved, and hopefully everyone has seen this, like with 614 Day, right? And in addition, we've got the women's volleyball team, the Fury that plays here. We've got, Ohio State, the Blue Jackets, which I feel like we've got good friendships, on the business side, and again, have carved out kind of different swim lanes. But I think for us, the soccer fan is so different than the hockey fan or the women's volleyball fan or the, Ohio State fan. Obviously there's overlap, but when we look at crew fans and soccer fans and kind of the demographic that we're looking at, it definitely skews younger. And so we're always thinking about, again, as you mentioned, innovation and some really good examples, but how do you break through, right? So every year we design a new jersey. We call it a kit in soccer. And so it's kind of a 2-year process. And so when we started thinking about, our supporters, which are the core and the foundation of everything that we do, they had designed a couple tifos, which is like a giant banner that flies over the Nordeca, and it was a nod to R.L. Stine, who is an author from Columbus, Ohio. And so when we really started thinking about what would be authentic, innovative, different, we thought, wow, could we, do a partnership and create something, unique that, again, pays homage to our supporters, but also this kind of beloved author. And, on top of that, the Goosebumps series is internationally recognized. And so, again, how do you use it to kind of break through your sphere of influence? And so I'm always challenging our group. We don't want to do things just because that's the way that we did it yesterday or the day before that. And so we went to Adidas and Major League Soccer and said, hey, this is our idea. This is the brief. On top of that, we want to try a new technology? Is there any way it could glow in the dark when you think about Goosebumps and it being spooky? And so I just had a good chat with our Adidas rep, and they were kind of like, yeah, when you asked us that, we were like, yeah, we'll look into it. But they did, and they were able to make it happen. And so it's the first Major League Soccer jersey that is UV reacted. So when you hold it up to a UV light, some of the slime, kind of shines through. And so again, for us, just to kind of reiterate, equal parts, what's authentic to Columbus, how do we, pay homage to the supporter base, and everything we do is about the supporters. And then that third piece, again, being the first club in Major League Soccer, kind of original franchise number one, we also want to continue to be number one by innovating, doing things differently, breaking through. And we're really passionate about the city of Columbus, which again, I think in Cincinnati, we've got a good little fun rivalry with the Hell is Real with FC Cincinnati. And rivalries build fandom, so we love the rivalry with FC Cincinnati. But, just at Ohio in general, there's just a lot of great pride. And so again, happy to chat more through it at the networking session, but really passionate about what we were able to do to continue to put Columbus on the map through the Goosebumps jersey and other kind of innovative efforts that we've done.
And Kathryn, I'll throw it to you. Same question, really, because you're also a professional sports team here in town. So how do you differentiate?
Yeah, I mean, I think spot on everything that Katie just said. I think, our fans are different and our sport is different, and we experience our sport differently. So the way we view Blue Jackets experience is actually from the moment you park your car. We're conscious of everything that's happening here in the Arena District, what you're going to do before the game, during the game, and after the game. It's actually the way that we frame our branding. It's a stool with 3 legs, and you have the experience at the game, but it's held up by community, which we've highlighted the importance of, and the Arena District itself, because it's such an important part of what we do here. I think the schedule for sports can also play into the way that we're marketing and engaging people. God bless baseball, and you're weather dependent. But 82 games in hockey, that's a lot of games, and that's 41 games we're trying to fill this building. And so, for us, we're marketing an experience that with sights and sounds, and we have the very best athletes in the world competing at the very highest level. And I promise you, we have no idea who's going to win. And we package that as unpredictable excitement. The second part of that, I would say, too, and just differentiating us is the identity of our teams are different, and we lean into that identity. So for us here at the Blue Jackets, we focus on some attributes. Optimism, we're hungry, we're dynamic, earnest, approachable, and relentless. But not only do we lean into those as it relates to how we talk about our team, we talk about it as what it means to be a Blue Jacket. We talk about our blue. And I think what's really important when we're leaning into that is that we're not just focusing on the players. Our staff are Blue Jackets. Our fans are Blue Jackets. And if you are a Blue Jacket, how we conduct ourselves, how we engage and share in the experience matters. And so that's another way I think that we try to lean into who we are and the experience at a Blue Jackets game.
I have friends that play fantasy baseball, and I think they're nuts. Because 160-something games is just too much for me. Okay, I'm going to open it up now to some questions in the group. If you have one, just raise your hand. We'll get you a microphone so we can hear. Oh, we got one right here in the front.
Hi, my name is Megan, and I recently started my own company to help more women get into motorsports. And we have a lot of resources available, but we're just starting out, so we don't have a lot of attention. My question is, how do I get the word out so more women can access those resources in like the early marketing stages?
Well, you're here, so that's a
I was
great
gonna say,
start.
that's spot number one. Who wants to grab that one?
Well, you gotta-
What's the name of your company?
Building speed.
What's your social media?
Building.speed on
Well,
Instagram and TikTok.
Building.speed. Very cool. So I would just say, and again, we've got an expert, but when we think about, social digital media and the ability to kind of break through, I would just say attack it a couple different ways. So exactly like you're doing, kind of in person? How are you networking, connecting with people? Maybe, even from like a media standpoint, is that a story that you cover for Women's History Month? An entrepreneur, locally doing something that I don't know of any other, similar companies. So I think that's really unique and compelling. And then, the other piece is just, again, kind of paid marketing, right? How are you using SEO and advertising to kind of get your name out there? And I think the best marketing is word of mouth. So I'm sure the more great work that you do will bring more, clients and opportunity. But I think that's really cool. So I'll make sure I check the business out on social.
I would just add to that too, you've already heard us talk a lot about partnerships and collaborations. And what's great about that is you're leveraging each other's resources and audiences. And so, I'm spending a little bit of time and understanding what that might look like for you, especially as you're trying to gain reach.
And I would say do what I do. I work with so many of these groups in different ways, and everybody in Columbus is so willing to listen and try to give advice and try to figure out, okay, how can this work potentially for me or someone I know? So yes, being here, talking to people, I would completely agree is 100% the best way to get started.
And kudos to you. Congrats.
Yeah,
that's
amazing.
That's
amazing.
awesome.
Yes. Who's next?
I know I don't usually need a microphone. Hi, my name is Michaela. I'm a young professional based out of Columbus here from Jackson, Mississippi, so I'm a Southern girl. Just landed my first job in the sports athletic space doing sponsorship consulting, so that's really exciting, moving over from fashion and retail. So my question is, how do you build that personal brand for yourself in the athletic space, especially when you don't have that background in sports already?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, coming from, this is kind of my second career. I worked at MTV in New York and then kind of switched over to sports. And it was difficult at first because it was kind of like, people were suspicious. Like, why are you doing this? You were vice president at MTV and now you want to work here? So a lot of it just networking, getting to know people and in terms of mentoring and things like that, I will never turn down a job shadow, a informational interview, somebody wants to have lunch and just bounce ideas off of me, like reach out to other people. I know, people are so great at helping other people come up in the industry because people have helped us. So definitely network as much as you can.
I would also add, do the basics, follow up with people, follow through, do good work, and build your credibility. And that in and of itself is your brand. That's who you are. That's what you're about. People will know you as reliable, and your work product will be that.
Yeah, I was going to comment as well. I just think being authentic, right? And so if you think about your long-term goal and what you want to do, and that's sort of your North Star, and that's what you're focused on, because it's easy to get distracted if something looks exciting for a moment, but if that's not helping you achieve your overall goal, then, just consider it for a moment. I always, your two most powerful words in your vocabulary are yes and no. So just make sure you use them wisely.
I was going to say, be reliable, be researched, and be real. I think we all hit on that pretty much between that. So yeah, awesome.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm a student at Muskingum University, so you know where that is. And I actually have a question for Lisa, but if anybody else wants to take a spin at it, you can. What are your team's overall goals for a successful season of content and media production?
The biggest thing we focus on, I guess, is engagement. So not just from a connection with the fan standpoint, but also to be successful on social media, you need to have a lot of engagement, because the more engagement you get, the more the algorithms say, hey, this is content people want to see. We'll show it to more people. So that really has been kind of the focus overall. But then also it gets back to storytelling. When you work with a sports team and you do something like lose a few games in a row or trade their favorite player, people, imagine this, get mean on social media. So I know
that hasn't happened to you guys in the last year.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's for sure. So, you look for ways to tell stories. You want to find that next player that they're going to fall in love with. They just don't know who it is yet, but you want to tell those stories. You look for every possible way when things might not be going well for the team to shine a light on something positive. So, but, in terms of the analytics themselves, we look at engagement just because it helps grow our reach for our accounts, but just creating that connection year round of telling the stories about the organization and the players, because those are our rock stars.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amy Cooper, and I am with Raise the Bar, which is going to be Columbus, Ohio's first women's sports bar. Thank you. Thank you.
I've been annoying on social media about us needing one of those, so thank you.
Well, I'm on social media, so follow me. We've talked a lot today about women in the sports business. Thank you, all of you, for your time today. My question is more about what is each of our roles or responsibilities in bringing up women's sports in general?
Just from a corporate perspective, we are invested, as I mentioned earlier, with the Hockey for Her events, the girls, hockey event that's happening today. We do think it's important to invest in that next generation, and specifically with women. We leverage internally our business resource group that supports women. Our CEO is on the National Women's Sports Foundation that Billie Jean King started. And so we had the opportunity with the Professional Women's Hockey League coming on to be one of the very first sponsors. And we did that because of the story that they came and told to us. And basically, you've got these people who played at the, high school, collegiate level. Some of them went on to the Olympics. And then it's like, that's it. Their careers are over. Like, where can they go? And then they look at, their male counterparts, and they have these long careers, and they can do all of these things. And it's like, that's just not, it's not fair, and it is how they would describe it back to us, right? And so we wanted to do what we could, and everyone's going to play a different role in what you're doing to enable that, to give those girls an opportunity to have something to strive for, to reach for, and to think, wow, that could be me someday. Seeing the women's Fury team start here. And yes, it's smaller, but my daughter plays volleyball. She loves volleyball. And to be able to come and see that game and to see, wow, there is something that is available and beyond, it's inspiring. And it will take time to grow, but I think that is our responsibility as women to make sure that we are paving that path in whatever role we play, whether that's through raising an athlete or making it accessible or posting it on social media and making sure you're, amplifying girls in sports. We should play our part.
I mean, seeing is believing. It really is. Dawn, I was going to say, I bet you have a really great response to that.
Yeah, well, so I'll build off of a lot of what Shannon already said. So at the Greater Columbus Sports Commission, obviously our purpose is to bring events to this city, no matter what the gender, anything like that. But we have definitely leaned in on the women's sports side. It's been a really strong passion for our president and CEO, Linda Logan, who created the Sports Commission 23 years ago, to really highlight women's sports and all of the great things that come from women's sports. And before the Caitlin Clarks of the world, who love Caitlin Clark, and that's not a knock, that's the Greater Columbus Sports Commission has been promoting women in sports and those events at a high level and investing in them differently than what had been done before in order to raise the bar for those events and for those women that were coming to our city. And we're really proud of that. And there's some things that I can't speak to just yet, but there's going to be some really exciting things. And so coming down the pike from our office as well as here in the city that are going to be dedicated specifically to girls and women in sports. And all I can say is I really encourage you, one, to jump on our website, and we have a page dedicated to girls and women in sport. But we also have some special initiatives coming where we're going to be leaning in even harder, and we should definitely talk later. So,
in my job, we call that a tease. Kathryn, you did very well. You can completely write any tease I ever have to do because I hate writing them. Kathryn, the Blue Jackets have been so great promoting women's hockey.
Yeah, I think for us, it's a couple different things. Number one, sports has an incredible platform, right? And the awareness and visibility we have and how we use that and how we choose to use that is definitely an opportunity. I think also expertise the conversation we're having right now with all of you. Do not underestimate the value, and it is why it's already been mentioned. We take the calls and you take the meetings because not only are we trying to help others, others have helped us. So never underestimate just the resource there. The third then is, depending on the entity, the person, the individual, and what resources we might have. So for us here at the Blue Jackets, we spend a great deal of time and energy trying to make sure we're removing barriers to our game. But in addition to in the traditional sense, in investing in women's hockey, I'm going to mention again Rocks, Ruling Our Experience. We invested $250,000 into their work, and their research is unbelievable, and the research that they've put into understanding the effect of sports and girls playing sports, and the issue of confidence and losing confidence that you don't gain back at a time when girls are dropping out of sports and dropping out at a younger age, knowing they're not going to get back in. So I think it's a combination of all those things, and each of us really just needs to reflect of all of these things, in what way can we show up?
Raise your hand. Hi, my name is Maggie. I'm a student at the University of Dayton. So my question is, once you go to networking events and things like this and build your network, how do you then use your network when you're applying for jobs and then throughout your career?
Follow up. I mean,
Amen to
I would
that.
say it's really that easy. You would be amazed how many times I go talk to students at different universities, and not a single one emails me saying, do you want to look at this? Or I did this or that. And I'm begging them, like, send me your stuff. Like, I want to help you. And genuinely, no one really ever reaches out to me. So always follow up, even if it's just hey, it was great to meet you. And then a week later, hey, remember we met? Can we get coffee? Or hey, can we get lunch? Or start a communication. It sounds so obvious. You'd be amazed how often it doesn't happen.
I also think that people undervalue what's right in front of you. So I don't know if we have interns in the room, but we have interns coming through the Blue Jackets a couple different times a year. And anytime an intern is brought to my office and I have a chance for, it's usually like a 2-second introduction, I always say, put 30 minutes on my calendar. I'd love to spend time with you. I can count on one hand how many times in the last, I don't even think I could get past my one hand in 2 years. So number one, and that's with an invitation. So that's a proactive invitation, right? When I do have a chance to sit down with those interns and I say, look around, because I would bet you that anyone in this organization that you asked, no matter what department you're in, if you said, could I get a few minutes of your time and could I connect? Number one, you're way ahead of the game. Number two, when you leave here and you follow up, I have done this conference in Montreal with college students, went out there a couple times, and it is one conference where these students, they follow up. And I still have students. I had a guy call me. He was actually going to move out to Alberta and wanted some advice on where to live. I was at the grocery store and I was like, what do your parents think? But I'll tell you, I've never forgot it, because that guy has stayed in contact. I know exactly what he's doing. He's going to law school. It is not that hard. But not only is it not because someone invited you to or you met them, but look in front of you, please.
If someone is saying, I have time, then we mean it, because we're very busy. So if we're saying, hey, I got the time for you, we've got the time, take it. Please take it. We're begging you.
And what's the worst thing that could happen? They don't respond to your email or they say no, right?
The next one might say yes.
Yeah.
Hi there. My name is Sue Scheitzel, and I actually started Career Shadow Solutions, and it's to help high school students as well as college students do job shadowing and meet those professionals. There is a gap, especially for homeschool, online, private school students that do not get there. Some of the barriers I'm kind of running into is because they're 16 years old, or I have women such as myself and also you who've done re-careering after so many years of being in there. Your organizations, I know the one up in Cleveland for NFL, they're so locked down for the Browns, you can't get in. But do you guys are you open to take students for job shadowing, students for internships? Are there any parameters? Is there anything that I should know to get the students through to their dream jobs?
I mean, I can start. I mean, we certainly have formal internships that we offer, at least one. We previously had more than one prior to COVID, but and then so access to those, it's kind of through our website. It's through the application process. We have had students come and job shadow for a day or a short period of time, and we've been open to that as well. And it really just takes reaching out to us, and we'll help facilitate that.
I've had high schoolers shadow me before that were interested in doing sports media. I'm completely open to anybody that wants to come learn and come see how actually hard it is. So, yeah.
It's funny because the TV station that I'm from Cleveland, so the TV station back there, they're union, and they said, sorry, we can't have you come in. But they did do me a lot of great favors. So
Yeah.
I'm not, it's just some of those barriers, and I
Sure.
think there's a way to find that. But yeah, that's just, I want to make.
And in TV, it gets hard because we're all owned by so many different groups now. Rarely is it the actual like NBC that you see. We're owned by overreaching companies so often now, and they all kind of have different rules. I know from the TV side, lots of times people reach out to me on like social media. And if they can't find my email, I don't know if it's easy to find or any. I've never tried to email myself, but I would just say from the media perspective, just keep trying. Just remember, there's like a bunch of different stations in a city, different radio stations in a city. We're all owned by different people, so if one doesn't work out, maybe the next one would. From the media perspective,
I feel a lot of pressure because there's a camera and our logo behind me for this answer and no HR in the room. So I'm going to give you the unofficial answer to that to the best that I can, just to be helpful. So one, the internship programs are open to college students. You need to be going to college. However, we do get a lot of those requests. I think it tends to be appropriate at the high school level where they may come and spend a day with us. And typically what we do is coordinate where they can go and spend a little bit of time all day long. I think a day-long shadowing program, I've got staff in that, right? We would typically do something like that. I think it's also fair to say it may depend on the job and its location and some of the things that go with it. But we do things like that around here. It's not official.
One other thing maybe you could tap into, and this is on the corporate side, but lots of businesses have, we call ours business resource groups or BRGs. And we have a Family Matters BRG, and we do a student career shadowing every year. And I spoke to them this year. They come in, they get to spend the day. Now, typically that is open most, for associates, because I think when you're thinking about high school students, we do have to have folks sign a release, but happy to connect. And I don't see why we wouldn't be open to having other people come in and be a part of it. But those resource groups, if they're really active, could be a great way to kind of get your way into some of these places.
Hi. I just didn't pass the microphone back down. I kept it. Erin Strauss.
I like your jacket.
Oh, yes. Former NBC4 reporter. But, and a former Junior Achievement BizTown instructor. So thank you, Bread Financial, for supporting Junior Achievement of Central Ohio. Really appreciate that. But I'm representing today Grace Haven. We work with trafficked teens all across the state of Ohio, boys and girls. And my question is about community engagement and working with nonprofits. So thank you for just being here and the inspiration to all of us in the room and all the ways that your organizations give back. How do we, as nonprofits, connect with you and say we would love for one of your athletes or artists or, some celebrity, maybe Colleen Marshall wanted to do it, but then she's like, the station won't let me. So we have compensated spots for our tallest fundraiser of the year where we rappel off a skyscraper. So I know that does not appeal to everyone. However, we call it Over the Edge. I've got the t-shirt. And some people would love the opportunity to literally go 26 stories off a downtown Columbus skyscraper. So this is our 10th annual event this summer. I'm surprised a lot of people haven't yet heard of it, but I would love to get the word out about that and invite people in the community. I mean, honestly, everyone's a VIP in my book that's a brave soul willing to do something like that. And again, raising money for charity. But it does help when you have a higher profile person, a media personality, a celebrity, a sports star or whatever, do something like that and get behind our cause to help kids. So just kind of curious, how do you even start having those sort of conversations with your teams or others in the community?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in, and I'm afraid of heights, but I'll try anything once for a good cause. But I would say for us, we've got kind of two pillars from a community standpoint that from the Columbus Crew perspective, we're really focused on. So one being our Stay in the Game program. So really focused on absenteeism and keeping kids in school, which is something really important to us as an organization. And then the second one being youth soccer. And so again, how are we continuing to get soccer balls and creating, connection and community through playing the beautiful game. But I would say from what you're looking for, we are always happy to kind of field that through our community and PR department. And then if it's not something that maybe makes sense from an organization standpoint, well, we know what our players are really passionate about. And so anytime we can kind of take it to maybe a handful of players or internal folks that we think, could be a great fit. We've got a lot of amazing athletes who have kind of, in addition to helping us support our initiative, they've got things that they're really passionate about, whether it's childhood diabetes or, honestly, a whole number of different, events. So if you'd want to pass through information, again, we're always happy to kind of facilitate it if there is interest internally. And that's kind of how we would approach something like that. And again, that wasn't me volunteering to Sky, but can talk through it. Yeah.
I would say we have a community relations department that is kind of the contact for nonprofits in the community. During the season, it is a little bit harder to get the players just because we do have so many games and they kind of have a routine. So we try not to take them out of the routine. But as she mentioned, they definitely have charities that they're passionate about. We have a player that has a daughter that has cancer, so he'll always go to Children's Hospital for the cancer wing and things like that. So, that department will know. And everybody comes in asking for Ellie De La Cruz, who's our most popular player right now. So chances are of getting him, it's going to be tougher. But if you're more open, there are players that are always looking to do more stuff in the community. So they can definitely reach out to them.
I think you should get Stinger over there.
So risk management, Stinger has rappelled. He has rappelled off the Nationwide building before. That was before I got here. Every time he wants to rappel off anything or get on his scooter and stuff, I get a little bit nervous. But from the Blue Jackets perspective, we're fortunate that so many people are familiar with the Blue Jackets Foundation in the community, but so much so that there's a perception that everything we do in the community is actually through the Blue Jackets Foundation. So if you do your research and you see the investment pillars of the foundation, you may think, oh, they only do that. Well, that's only one half of the equation. So on the corporate, the team side, the team actually invests just as much as the foundation in giving back. And one of the ways the team supports is through donations of memorabilia and other things. So we support over 500 organizations a year that may not qualify in those foundation pillars with things like memorabilia. Again, there's also expertise around some of the things that the Blue Jackets can do. So the best way to navigate the Blue Jackets in any community support is to reach out to Andy Kathryn. She's actually the executive director of the foundation and over that corporate side that we don't always talk about. And what we try to do is sit down and hear you out and say, who are you? Tell us what you do. And then we look at all the resources we have, which sometimes is a face that we can give a cause. Sometimes it's a donation, sometimes it's a table at the event. So we try to look at all those different resources and figure out how to support as many organizations in the community as we can. It just might not be in the way you thought it would be when you came to see us.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Morgan Marvany. My question is, as women in the professional industries that are primarily male-dominated, how do you both champion bringing women into those industries, and how do you recommend women who want to break into those industries to stand out amongst their male counterparts?
With social media, I can tell you not just baseball, but the professional leagues across the board, there are tons of women that do social media. So I don't know what it is about social media, but that definitely is an area that a lot of women have gotten into. It is, I know at the executive level, it is still very male heavy at our organization. So they definitely have a lot of work to do in terms of women moving up in the higher levels. But I think for getting your foot in the door, it's again, making contacts. We posted an internship and we got 700 resumes in the first day. It's just so having a connection with somebody, going up after they give a speech somewhere or whatever, and, just introducing yourself, putting a face to a name definitely will help.
I guess I could answer this one a little bit. When I go to sports press conferences and things, it's better. There are times I'm still the only woman in the room. And it can be hard because there are times where you get looked over. There are times like that. But the more you keep trying, talking to even the guys, you'd be amazed the allies you have. I have found so many allies in this business who they give me story ideas. They're like, I can't get to this. What do you think? Or there was one time I was at an Ohio State football press conference. I had my hand up. They didn't call me. The player at the podium said, her. And I was just... It's like, oh God, this better be a good question now. But you'd be amazed, the allies. And we've said it so many times, I think, just keep talking, keep learning, keep reading, keep watching, keep trying to take as much information in as you can, because you just never know when a little nugget of knowledge is gonna be your way in a conversation with somebody that's gonna become a lifelong mentor, and then boom. So that's what I would always say, just keep learning, and don't just because it's men. No, there are allies and they will help you. And of course, always remember when you do make it, because you will, to help other women. Women need to support women. We don't need to be pit against each other. That's old school. I was a gymnast. That was my life for 17 years, was being pit against my best friend standing next to me at the chalk bowl. It sucked. So remember that, because you never know when your friend next to you can return and help you with that favor and just kindness. It really is amazing.
I would also say, remember, that's not just a sports challenge. We tend to think about it in whatever our current environment is. I worked in manufacturing. I actually at one point was doing sales with tractors and combines across Eastern Canada. And even in my time in the Y, the majority of the executives and certainly the C-suite leadership was male dominated. So I say that also to remember that the people that can help guide you and give you that advice, and maybe those mentors and the people that you're looking at, may not actually be in sports at all. Both of my mentors, incredible women, not in sports, but I'm not sure I could be here without the guidance I get from them. So keeping that perspective too, to understand that your help can come from a lot of different places in navigating.
Agreed. One more question?
Look at that teamwork. My name is Ashley. I'm a data analytics and visualization student at Virginia Tech. But my question is, what is really an unexpected challenge that you've faced either in your career, in sports, and what's some advice that you would give someone who might eventually face that challenge that they might not be expecting?
I'll share a little vulnerable moment here, I guess. So as Whitney mentioned when she was introducing me, I spent 24 years in college athletics and then shifted to now sports tourism. So arguably a bit of a career change or lane change in the sports industry for sure. And I was very, very blessed in my 24 years in college athletics, built a lot of relationships, was with several successful programs, and just enjoyed a lot of success out of many, 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 still to this day, great relationships and very well established. But I decided intentionally to make a change, and I won't go into all of that right now. That's kind of beside the point. what I realized for myself is, first of all, I'm at a point in my career, I'm definitely past mid-career, and I'd always prided myself in being this lifelong learner, and I just enjoy and crave, learning from others, especially in leadership capacities and different industries, and the value of that, as Kathryn mentioned, and whatnot. But when I pivoted, wow, did I become uncomfortable again. And being that lifelong learner, suddenly I was like, really? Really, do I like this? I mean, this is uncomfortable. Like I no longer had this 24 years of establishment that I could lean on. I mean, some of it was there, but now suddenly I'm the new kid on the block in this lane of business. And once again, being past mid-career and suddenly, wondering what I was doing and realizing how great that discomfort is for me. Because you learn and grow and cry sometimes through it all. But but how good it is and how great and healthy it is. And I love what I do. I'm so grateful that I am blessed by what I get to do every day and the people that I get to work around. And once again, I know and trust that it was such a great decision for me when it all came together. But I guess that learning environment, the best part of it is when it's going to be uncomfortable for you. So
I once had a mentor tell me never be comfortable. And I think about that a lot. And it really is true. I mean, you don't want to be like an anxiety mess. That's not good. I am that sometimes. But never be comfortable. Always push yourself. Thank you guys so much. Great questions. Great answers from everybody. So the panel is now concluded. Tours of the arena are going to begin, and then we're going to return and start the happy hour networking session. We're going to have individuals at designated tables according to profession, and you can mingle and get to know them. Remember to follow up. We're going to follow up today, yes? Love that. All right. Thank you guys again, and thanks for listening, and have fun.